name's Miranda and today I'm here to discuss Chapter 3 of A Court of Fae and Flowers on Dimension 20 this episode, y'all. Wild. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna get the things. I feel like now that it's 3 episodes in, I'm starting to understand more of what I like and what I don't like, what I have a feel on the characters and stuff like that. So I just want to get out of the way right away. The things that I'm not loving about this season, and it's just a personal thing for me. I like when there's more of like a set timeline, and I feel like they're more wonky with the time with this, which is fine. Like, it doesn't, at the end of the day, it's not that big a deal. It just, when they bounce around, especially during like the letter parts, when they're bouncing around from like this person had this letter and then this is how they respond by showing up at that house, but we're gonna pause that so then we can go to this person's letter, and then oh, when they went to the house, actually this person was at the house beforehand, but that happened afterwards because they did their letter a lot after, and it just, to me, gets a little bit messy, whereas it could just feel more of a construed kind of timeline of like, they saw them in the morning, then they saw them in the afternoon, and we're going to see the morning first, and then we're going to see the afternoon, and we're going to see the night first, and then we're going to see the daytime, instead of like, this is going to happen at night, and then this is going to happen the previous day, but like, we didn't address that in the nighttime because that hadn't happened till after. And it just makes me a little like, whoa, especially when I'm watching it at like night, you know, I'm like, it's a little hard to keep up with, but I do really like the letter thing. And then they added also in this episode the rumor aspect of it. So they've talked about before how they had a session 0 where they made all these rumors come up basically that are still around for this one, and now basically you can either create your own new rumor or you can heighten another rumor to turn it into a full-blown scandal. So I really thought this was interesting because this is also not necessarily from a character point of view, like this is a player. So like Lou being like, oh, I want to make a scandal about this, isn't Squawk necessarily getting involved in it, but Lou being like, I want to jump this up myself to see how it happens, which I think is really, really interesting. So 2 of the rumors were then turned into scandals, and then a bunch of other rumors were created. The one that I thought was the most interesting was, I think it was Brennan's, was that he said that there could potentially be people who are saying that the Court of Wonder is taking more credit for the bloom than they should, considering they're not the actual ones hosting it, but like Rue being the event planner and all that, and how amazing they are. Like, people are starting to attribute it more to the Court of Wonder than they are the Court of Sea, or Sea, whatever, the Court of Sea Foam, whatever it's called. I really liked that one because I feel like that could make things really interesting of like, it's like something that maybe not necessarily is even happening, but like someone getting in there and like trying to cause like discord and strife by being like, hey, they're kind of taking more credit for this than they should, aren't they? And then someone getting upset by that, I thought was really, really cool. It'll be interesting to see too how the rumor phase starts to develop as characters themselves start to learn more about the other players' secrets and all that, which, speaking of, the biggest reveal I think definitely is Binks. We don't necessarily completely know what's going on with Binks and Gwendolyn, but Binks is not Gwendolyn. We know that for certain. Gwendolyn is, I think it sounded like, in the mortal plane. I don't know if that's by choice, if she was like, I want a break, I want to just go and do some things, and Binks was like, okay, let's switch places for a little bit, or if she's like holding her there against her will, because we've obviously established that Binks, and thus Binks as Gwendolyn, has been very vocal about not agreeing with things with her court. And there's also this rumor going around now that the Court of Wonder has run out of magic, or that the new magic that they did find is some kind of illusion, or not really, like they're just running out of magic and stuff like that. So I think that could be really interesting, especially because Hobbs is so single-minded in taking down the Court of Wonder and causing like strife there, that he's so focused on Gwendolyn that now he's starting to realize Gwendolyn may not be who she says she is, and has alerted Blemish and Boyle to that fact. So I definitely think his eyes and ears are going to be more perked up, and there's more attention on her now, which will make it harder for herself to contain who she really is. I feel like there's still so much more to know about Dear Binks. I love that she's a warlock patron, because, and they talked about this a little in Adventuring Party, how you never really think of like the warlock patron part of it. Like, you always think of the person that's getting the spells and how they're like, hey, can I have a spell? But like the person you're asking like is like still has a life and is doing stuff. So like, it's how like Binks could be like, I can't make you a new spell slot, but I can give you a new spell. Like, that was really, really funny. And then Aunt Hera, I feel like I'm still so curious about Aunt Hera, right? Like, why is he faking this accent? Is he the real Aunt Hera? What exactly happened at their duel? He is becoming a quick fave of mine. Like, I just love the whole thing with the duel, him showing up and being like, oh, I'm waiting for my moment, and stepping in and being like, I demand satisfaction, and everyone thought it was Squawk and looked to him. The whole thing got out of hand because like suddenly it was wrestling and they were like, oh, it can't be my double scimitar. Like that was just too good. And rolling a nat 20 to evade Hob, who's like this soldier, has already beaten him once and stuff like that, I thought was really, really interesting. And just the fact that the duel, even though they lost, it ended in the best possible way that it could, because both Hob and Hera were given respect. And I feel like Hob is such an underrated character. Like, Hob this episode, I was like, I don't like you. Like, and I feel bad saying that, but like when he was messing with the Lord of the Rings and giving them that tea that was supposed to like loosen them up, and I don't understand, like to me, if he's trying to take down the Court of Wonder, it would be more imperative that they lose the bet and Rue looks bad, right? Like if they lose the bet and then the Lord of the Wings like win their bet, like that would be like a mark against Rue and then against the Court of Wonder. So I don't know why, like that part confused me of like why he was like, oh, let's mess with them a little bit. But also I just feel like I've come to care for these characters so much in that like I love them, and Hob is the clearest one of like actually trying to like cause issues and like has a mission to take down the Court of Wonder, so that directly affects two players in Binks and Rue, and then the rest of the players tangentially just because how he could use them to then affect the Court of Wonder, and like that stresses me out. And then everything with Rue and Hob, oh my gosh, that whole letter scene when Rue writes this beautiful, heartfelt, opening, just vulnerable, raw letter, and Wovey hears the whole thing because they read it out loud when they write, and Wovey's like, all right, I'll go deliver this, and Rue just goes, burn the letter, and Wovey won't do it, so they command her to burn the letter, and it's like this big tearful moment because it's the first time they've ever commanded Wovey to do anything, and just all it turned into from that of Wovey being like, you know, like, you hurt my friend, I demand satisfaction from this, and Hobbs not knowing exactly what it meant, and then acting like it meant that they had called off the wedding, so now the Court of Wonder was mad at them, just making the Court of Wonder look bad now, and the whole scene where Rue was like positioned on the hill, like very clearly supporting Wovey, and like Hobbs saw that and was like clearly hurt by that, and Rue clocked that they were clearly hurt by that, like but then giving them bardic inspiration, like I really did not expect this to be the couple I'm shipping the most, but like they're the most well established thus far, and I also just love the enemies to lovers aspect of it, and also that like even just like the cousins were saying it earlier about how like Rue is this like unapproachable person, like they haven't even considered Rue for the love match because they're like so many people have tried and like it's just never happened, but like what does that mean for you, you know, when like you never let someone in, and the fact that they were going to let someone in and then they burned the letter. And in Adventuring Party, Oscar even talked about how like he was fully set, like he was like, I was gonna send that letter, and then it was only when Whoopi had that reaction of like, oh, you're gonna send this, that Oscar was like, no, I can't do this, it's too soon, like you have to burn it, and changed Rue's decision on it, which I think was so cool because it shows how like the momentary things and the reactions of other characters, and that can play into how you affect it, and it's just so cool. Like I said, I really also loved the addition of what we learned about Squawk. So Squawk and Chirp now both seem to have love interests that the other does not know about, that they seem to really care about. I don't know who exactly they are in terms of Chirp's case, but Squawk is the main person, I think, or someone at least high up in the sea. I keep wanting to call it Seafoam Court. I don't think it's the Seafoam Court, but like the Sea Court sent them this beautiful letter being like, you know, like do what you have to do, like I'll always be here for you and I understand. And I just love how like Squawk was like holding the bowl of Seafoam, and then Chirp comes up and he's like, oh, we got this nice bowl, like who gave us this nice bowl? Like it's just so interesting to think that like they have to find a love match and a political match, but yet they both might already be in love with other people, and I think that's super intriguing. And also learning that Squawk has already foregone the bet and went out with Theo and went down with Theo by turning him into a bird. That was such a cool scene. Like Lou is such a creative player, and I feel like he doesn't always get enough credit for it, but him being like, I'll turn you into a bird, you fly back to my nest, I'll turn you back out of a bird, we have fun, and then you leave. Like that was just so good. And then the duel in general, oh my good graciousness, the duel was absolutely amazing with Wovey like being this, like we've seen her before, you know how much I love Wovey, like my girl, my little and I love her so much, but seeing her turn into this feral thing and knowing that back at her original court she was a champion, and like even Hob mentioned like this Wovey's scary, like it's scary to him because he's a soldier, but like he's not invincible. So like to see this and be like, oh gosh, like this is someone who can hold their own is like scary for him. And now Wubby's character has taken a huge hit in foregoing the duel and, you know, allowing Aunt Hera to step in and all that happened. So now I feel bad for her that like her reputation has taken a huge tank, and it was because of her friend, you know, because she was trying to defend her friend. And I mean, she still knows. She knows what was in that letter, and she could still tell Hobb potentially. I don't know how that will affect her character, because I think this will be the first time we see a character whose reputation is really plummeted because of something. So it'll be interesting to see, especially because she runs or helps run so much of the event, that it'll be interesting to see what exactly that means for my poor Wubby. I love her so much though, and like what a great friend, right? To just be like, you made my friend cry, you're gonna pay. Like that was just so amazing. So I'm really excited to see more with Binks. Like I said, now that Hobb has kind of clocked not exactly what, but that something's there and there's more to investigate there. There were so many times this episode where like someone would say something that like, you know that way where you can say something that's like rude, but if you say it in a polite enough way, like you can't call them out on it, right? Because it's like, oh, we're in polite society and like I can't imply that like I know what they're saying. So there were so many times where I was just like, like, you know, where it's just like, oh, I can't believe they just said that. Like, it was so good. And like knowing that like the other player can't respond in kind because it would be rude. So like, I'm so excited to see. Next episode is going to be a tea time story, which will be very interesting because the Court of Wonder has now taken a dip and Hera has moved up away from Pillar Boy into Slippy Boy. And I'm super intrigued to see what's going to happen at this tea and who more we will meet and what more secrets will be unveiled. And yeah, I'm just so excited. So yeah, if you have seen this episode, please feel free to leave your thoughts, your theories, what you thought of all the Rue and Hobb stuff, Binks, all that down below in the comments. Also make sure this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!